It always fascinates me that a subject matter that you think would be really, really simple, when you start to research, is actually very, very involved. And there's a huge community out there with strong opinions on one thing, and there are devices that do, you know, basically there are loads of subsets of devices for this one simple thing. And in this case, I'm talking about flashlights. I'm talking about torches. I recently had a couple of torches come through the door, and I thought I'd do a bit of research so I can at least talk about them with some kind of knowledge. And I also put out a video about the FL1 standard recently, which is something I didn't even know existed until a couple of weeks ago. This is the first torch that I got in, and this is the Anker LC90. It's an 18650 torch, so it has an 18650 battery in here, which means it's rechargeable, and it's 900 lumens, which is pretty bright. It's supposed to have a genuine Cree LED, so we should probably think that at least the performance and accuracy of that brightness should be fairly good. A beam throw of 200 meters, presumably in its zoomed configuration like that, because it is zoomable. You can have a wide beam or a narrow beam. The battery is 3,350 milliamp hours and apparently will last 6 hours. I'm not absolutely sure if that's at full brightness. I very much doubt it, because usually with any torch like this, the brightness starts to drop off the second you turn it on. IP65, so not 67, so you can't drop this into water. It'll just stand kind of splashes and jets and things like that. You wouldn't want to actually submerge this. I assume that's because of the zooming bit here, because all this bit is very nicely sealed. Well, it certainly looks that way. Anyway, it's a nice looking torch, and it looks like you're getting a lot for your money. And I'll just sort of open up the end here and show you it inside, because this kind of hangs off here. And it looks like this is a cable or something, but it's not. It's just a bit of elastic to prevent you losing this end section, which is kind of nice. And there you can see that this is micro USB rechargeable. It actually has the capability of being recharged from the torch itself. You can, of course, take the battery out and just recharge it in a standard charger. I did a review of the Nitecore SC4 recently. That will recharge 18650 cells. And you've got an LED here that is red when it's charging and green when it completes. And we'll just take a look inside. So this opens up again, even though you've got your O-ring here to seal this section and completely seal off the port. Some people have said that they don't like this because of the fact you can't have this torch ready to go when it's charging, because you have to then reattach this. But I like the fact that the port is completely sealed off with a proper O-ring, a proper sort of gasket there to prevent the water getting in. So let's just take the end off this. And there is that whole section will come off now, and you can remove the Anker battery, and you've got there a genuine Anker cell, an 18650 cell that comes with it. Dead easy to fit. So this section all looks really good. We've got a nice kind of recessed rubber button at the end there, so this torch does stand up, which is a big deal to some people. The fact that a torch can stand this way, because you can put it in low mode and it will light a room, you know, if it's just stood up on the side like that. Another problem with the torch is it does roll. It's got no kind of it's got no sort of hexagonal sections on, or anything like that to stop it rolling. So if you put it on a surface that isn't level and you want to have it like that, it's going to roll around. Not ideal. Also, I'm not a fan of the fact that this is really wobbly. This whole end section here, I'm trying to get my hands out of the way here, put them behind. You can probably just see that there. That wobbles around. Doesn't really inspire confidence. It's just a sort of quality thing, really. This, yes, I appreciate this has to move, so it has to be free. So that's kind of the zoomed in config, and that's the wide config. You can see that right at the end here if I just focus on the LED. And you can see that that zooms in like that and zooms out. The optics don't look particularly good either. Very plasticky. I'm not sure if optics would usually be glass. Probably not, but they just don't seem to be particularly good. But again, it's only a £30 torch. But yeah, this whole barrel moves around. You can probably hear that rattling. So that's probably one of the worst points about it. Also, I don't really like how the modes work on this. But since I've done some research on this, I've found that this is the way that a lot of torches work. So I probably shouldn't complain too much. If you turn this on, then it switches into one mode. If you turn it off again, you can leave it for quite a long time, turn it on, and it's now switched modes. I really don't want it to change modes quite that easily. And also you have this half on press like this, which also changes the mode. The half on press should just turn on in a particular mode, but it doesn't. It switches mode. Sorry about the strobe, by the way. I'll put a little warning up on screen. So yeah, so you've got your torch like that, and then if I focus it in, you can see that the beam goes in, so wide and narrow like that. So it works all right. Yeah, it's absolutely fine, but just not terribly good quality as far as this sort of section here, and also the whole. You end up just going back to that strobe far too easily. I understand the need for a strobe. I understand that it is used in defense. So this is something else I had to learn as well, because I was kind of thinking, what's the point of the strobe? But of course, it's if you shine a strobe in someone's eyes, if someone's coming for you and you shine a strobe in their eyes, it's really disorientating. And yeah, so I get the point of it, but I really like a torch to have the ability to disable those two things, SOS and strobe. You can turn them on, or you need this to be on/off, and then you have your mode button separate somewhere. And that's how Nightcore do a lot of their torches. So there's the first one. This is the Boulder LC90 by Anker. Pretty good for the money, I think. A nice, really nice flashlight, feels solid, and a really good size as well, with a decent battery in it. The second one is another one from Anker. This is the LC130, and this is I love this. This is absolutely brilliant. This does not zoom, so everything is completely solid on this. It's totally sealed. Love it. Really solid. It's a great size. Fits in the hand like that, but you've got a nice big sort of section at the end here, because you need to house these three LEDs. Let's get in close and take a look at those, because aren't they so nice? Look at those LEDs. Beautiful. And what this allows is the torch to have a central beam while also having a wide beam at the same time. Now, you can't change that. That's kind of fixed in that way, but it has both. And you can clearly see that. If you take this outside and shine it on a kind of misty day, or sort of when it's raining, you can see that wide beam come out and that central beam come out. And you should, if I go out again here on my camera, I should be able to show you that even just here. There we go. So you can see quite clearly on that shot that we have our beam, our wide beam out round the side here, but we still have a, it's really hard to do, we still have a big hot spot here in the center. Now this torch has the same functionality as the other one as far as its modes are concerned, right? So you're still going to get that switch to strobe, switch to SOS, bright, medium, low, strobe, SOS, bright, medium, low. And it still has that memory function. Just need to make it quicker. So when you change mode, you have to literally almost like do a double tap like you would on a PC or something like that, because that change, you could just turn this on to look at something and then turn it off again and think, oh no, I want to look at something else. And then it's changed modes. I don't want it to change modes. That's the worst thing about these Anker torches. However, other than that, this is a marvelous beast. I really, really like it. But let's take a look inside, because it gets even better. So same kind of deal on the inside as the other one. We've got this little bit of elastic to hold this in place, and we've got a micro USB charger there. And if I can take this off, I will show you that this one doesn't come with an 18650 because of the 1300 lumen output on this beast. And this one comes with a 5000 milliamp hour battery, which I've forgotten the spec of. It's 26650, isn't it? Yeah, there you go. A 26650 cell, which is kind of just a step or two steps up really from an 18650. So really nice to see the larger cell in there, providing suitable current and suitable power to allow this torch to last, hopefully, the advertised length of time. Now, apparently, both these Anker torches have been tested to the FL1 standard. They have the specs on the box. You can read into that what you wish, and I suggest you watch my video on the FL1 standard to see how, in some ways, it can be a little bit misleading. But overall, I find this torch to be really, really nice. This I would highly recommend. Again, it will stand on its end like that. You can put it in full. You can put it in low mode, and it will last hours and hours and hours, and will even in low mode on its back, it will happily light a room. In fact, I was on a call with my friend the other day, and we were just on webcam, and I just said, oh, hang on a second, because I was using my studio lights here, and I said, hang on a second, I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to just light the room with this torch. And he was absolutely blown away. He was just like, seriously, that is, because it almost looked identical. Of course, the webcam adjusted and, you know, changed its exposure, but the image quality was still really good. And it was just, the whole room was just lit with this torch. He was absolutely, like, really shocked by that. Like, shocked to the point that he called his partner over and said, hey, look at this. Torsten's lighting his room just with a torch. She wasn't impressed. She wasn't interested in the slightest. She was like, oh, wow, we can do that. We have a light bulb. But you get the point anyway. It's an impressive torch, and I would definitely recommend this. It does, however, cost you a bit more money, this one. About 60, 70 pounds this. But it's a really nice torch, and it just feels great. Honestly, love it. And this is the last one on this particular video. This is the Surefire G2X Pro or something, I think it is. I've actually forgotten the model number of it, but I will, again, it'll be in the video title, and I'll put links in the description. I've just forgotten it off the top of my head. And this thing is a different league altogether. This is in the range of sort of 80 to 90 pounds for a small torch like this, and these are designed to last and last. And I have to say that although this torch isn't for everybody, this reeks of quality. This is beautifully constructed. Everything about this torch is really, really nicely constructed. They've kind of just thought of everything, and this is just meant to be a tool to last years and years, or be used in a tough environment. I think this is IP67, it could be IP68, this one, and it's just a simple single LED. But yeah, this Surefire, I really, really like it. It doesn't have a memory function, so it doesn't remember which mode you turn it on as. It's just got two modes, low and high, and most of the time I use this in low. It's a really nice kind of just grab it, put it on, and just uses it in low. And look at that, it's got that real kind of green tint to the LED. Can you see that? Some people, again, I've looked online to find out about this. Some people say this is quite intentional, and this means this kind of green tint that you see in this LED means that it provides just a more kind of usable light that provides kind of better contrast and is just under certain conditions works a lot better. However, others say, well, Surefire are just using cheaper LEDs and ripping you off as a result. I don't know who to believe. I don't know which is true. But when I saw this for the first time, I thought, I don't like that, because I'm just not fond of a green tint on anything. But I've got used to it, and it's absolutely fine. So yeah, you turn this off, and every time you turn this on, unless you do it within 2 seconds, it will turn on as that low beam. So if I just turn this off and turn it back on, now we're in the full beam. And this thing is bright. It is crazy bright. It's a fantastic performer for the size. But let's look at some of the downsides of this. Well, yes, it's expensive. Yes, it's great quality. Well, I say it's expensive. That's probably a bad thing, isn't it? But it uses CR123 cells, which aren't for everybody. Look, as you open this up, look, you've got the O-ring coming up. So there's the O-ring there. But you've also, look, they've got this kind of like grease on here as well, which just smells smells wonderful. And that cap comes off, and inside we've got our two CR123s. These are just not that common, and they're non-rechargeable. You can get a rechargeable version of this, but even Surefire admit that the rechargeable version of any cells like this will not perform anywhere close to the original sort of cells like this, because these are lithium cells, non-rechargeable lithium cells, and they are the ones that are designed to go in this torch. They're high drain batteries, and yeah, they will die and you have to replace them. To some people that seems absurd, but if you're using this in the field and you can, you know, you're just doing it as a business, you've got a massive pot of batteries there, you just pick 2 out each night, put them in, refresh your batteries, you're good to go for a night. Unlikely to be using your torch for more than an hour and a half at full beam, which is what you've got here. Full, you know, low beam like this is a massive amount of time. I mean, this will last something like 50 hours or something on low, on the 15 lumen setting like this. But yeah, a really beautiful device. I really, really like it. It costs a lot of money. and you know, some people are going to think that's absolutely crazy for a torch, an absolute rip-off, and I think it is. I mean, it's totally unnecessary, I think. But you can see the build quality involved here. It really is more of a specialist device, this. More of a kind of security, military type use device. So there we go. There are the 3 torches that I've just sort of got in initially. If you've got any good recommendations, there are a few from Nightcore that I'm looking at because... well, there's one from Nightcore specifically, but you can't buy it in the UK yet. I can't find it in the UK. I don't think it's been released, but I'm really interested in getting that. I think it's it's got a really, really decent throw on it. And really curious to get that. But it's been released, but it hasn't been released in the UK. So I'll have to see anyway. So put down in the comments, which one is your favourite? Do you like the Surefire stuff? Or do you think it's a limitation because of those silly batteries? Do you like the Anker, this smaller Anker one, this bolder LC90? Or are you a fan of this LC130, something a little bit more hefty with a bit more output power? Let me know in the comments. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon.